A big hello to all the viewers. Welcome again to the DLife.in channel. I am Shashikant Iyengar, the host today. I am a DLife.in member and a volunteer. For those watching this program, this is not a medical or nutrition advice. It is just a sharing of information. People are requested to take guidance of their doctor and a local nutritionist for any change. Also, I wish to declare that there are no financials attached to this session. All are free of cost to disseminate genuine information. So today we have a very special guest on this Valentine Day special show. So we have with us the man who refused to let diabetes overpower him, Mr. Anup Singh. He was diagnosed as a diabetes on this very day 10 years back. He refused to take any anti-diabetic. Being an engineer by qualification, he's used to thinking on the cause-effect angle. He finally came across a solution called LCHF and he fell in love with it. And to this day, he staunchly follows LCHF and managed to defeat diabetes. He is also the founder of DLife.in or DLife India, a community platform for those with diabetes, obesity, PCOS, and other metabolic syndrome. Many have actually benefited from this platform with the guidance of Anup Singh. There are more than 200 success stories of many diabetics getting off insulin and tablets. Many have achieved normal weight. Some have even come off the BP medication. In this journey, he has also launched DLife.in Academy, which offers diploma in low carb nutrition course. So let's hear more about the journey from Anup Singh himself. So welcome Anup Singh. Welcome to your own channel. And it gives me a pleasure and it's my privilege that a Shishya is today hosting his guru. So welcome Anup Singh.
Thank you, Shashi. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, depending on time zone. And where should I start, Shashi?
So Anup Singh, please tell us about yourself, your background, who you are, something about qualification, and
Okay.
so that we understand from where you're coming in.
I would skip the schooling part. In 1987, I graduated as metallurgical engineer from what is now known as IIT Roorkee. And for 13 odd years, I was in job. And in these 13 years, I have written around 6 papers, which were published in, I think, Tool and Alloy Steel. I don't know if that journal is still operational. And in 1994 or 96, I had presented one paper in National Metallurgist Day in Vizag. That was on continuous casting of aluminum killed steel through unstoppered metering nozzle. And after 2000, I'm on my own. So no 9 to 5 hassles. That's about it. I hope I'm audible. Shashi?
Yeah. So Anup Singh, tell us something about this day, 10 years back. What exactly happened?
Okay.
Exactly you got diagnosed as a diabetic and what did you do ahead further?
I think I'll start from November 2010. What happened was, one night, suddenly while I was having dinner, I lost my voice. And that freaked me out. And it took around 36 to 48 hours to get back to, be in a position where I can speak. And thereafter, it was, there was another issue happening. One is that from groin to ankle, my right leg, there was severe pain and I could not turn in bed also. Now, the issue which prompted me to, start thinking about these issues is I started getting bumps over my temple. Now, they used to come randomly, stay there for a few hours, go off, and with the sort of headache also. I started reading about it. So, what scared me was that I was paranoid about one thing which is called GCA, that giant cell arteritis or something. I started reading about it. Then I came to know, the only treatment is that you have to take corticosteroids, and tapering off the dose and all is a very lengthy process. Now, in January, my BP was around 140/90. And since these bumps started happening very frequently, then I decided that I have to visit the doctor. So that is how on 14th of Feb, I went to the doc and said, please get me tested for C-reactive protein just to rule out GCA. Now he gave a big laugh and he said, you're unnecessarily worrying about it. It is all skin infection and all that. So I said, okay, but for my satisfaction, I want it done, and whatever other test you want, you can prescribe. I don't mind. And therein, to my surprise, everything was fine. PPBS was 229 and FBS was 129. This was on the same day as today, 10 years back. So then I did not know, what diabetes is. All I knew was that a diabetic has to take insulin. And the doc said, you just start walking, control your weight. I was 83 kg on a frame of 68 inches. So I started walking, but I could not walk because of claudication on both the legs, outer shin side. Then he said, okay, we'll repeat the test after a week. That is the usual procedure. And next week it came down to 200 and 200 was PPBS and 120 was FBS. That is the time when he said, now you are a declared type 2 diabetic. So keep walking. There's no other solution. I said, fine. Now, walking, yes, I did. I started off, at maybe around 200 meters, 300 meters, and it took around a month or so to really go up to 2 kilometers in a session. The doc, he was my friend. So, he gave me liberty that, okay, you try whatever you want to. We'll meet again next month and then we'll see what is to be done. So 1 month down the line, he just asked for FBS and it turned out to be 60 by lab. Then he said, okay, next week we'll test for PPBS. And that was, I think, around 102. Now, looking at these readings, he said, okay, whatever you're doing, you keep doing it and we'll monitor every month. So around May or June, I think May end, I had my first A1C, which was around, which was 5.0 exact. And that is the time when, meanwhile, I was also looking for solutions because I knew that over the period of, from Feb 14 down to May, that this is going to be really crazy stuff to handle. And you start with a simple drug and then move on to multiple drugs, not just for diabetes, but you add for hypertension. And even then, control is not so easy. So I came, because by May I was walking around, I think 4 to 5 kilometers per meal. That means imagine 14 to 15 kilometers, I was just walking. Even in, summer heat of 45 degrees, I used to walk when there was no soul on road in sight. So I thought, this cannot continue for lifelong because walking 14 to 15 kilometers a day, spending 3 to 4 hours just on walking. Meanwhile, I think somewhere around that period, a bit before that, I had come across one Western diet, low carb. Basically, I call it BBE, beef, bacon, and egg diet, which was not at all practically applicable to me as such. So I decided, let's try something on similar lines because the take-home message was ultimately to control sugar, you have to control your carbohydrate intake. Now, that was easy to understand, but the only thing was that once you cut down carbohydrate, the only alternative was that you have to bump up your fat intake. Now, that was a bit scary because all these 40, 50 years we have been brainwashed against fat causing cardiac events and every other thing. But yes, I thought, failure or success, I'll have to be either blamed or applauded for. So I started changing slowly. First, I started with, I think, 120 G per day carbohydrate because I think ADA had some 130. So I said, okay, let's start with 120, one chapati twice a day. and all that continued. Finally, there was one Swedish study which said that at 20% upper carb limit, saturated fat has got no impact on cardiovascular events. So that gave me all the confidence to go solo. And that's how it started. But then, after seeing 5.0, I thought I mastered everything. And then in November 2011, it came to 6.0. So that is when I decided, like I can't relax even a bit. So started formulating diet, started tweaking it, and finally settled with 100 g per day, including fiber because I don't count fiber separately. So that gives me, it covers for any counting errors, if at all. And thereafter it came down. I think I had readings of 5.4, 5.2, 5.6. I was testing regularly through lab till September 2013. Now I was looking more at lipids, which did not move at all. So then I decided, I won't test anymore now in lab. I'll go by my meter. And many of us, many of guys on forum said, you should test. Then I think March 2020, 1st March, I was apparently struck with COVID and 13 days of hell. On 14th day, just to, because no testing was allowed. That time India was testing, I think 500 or 1000 tests per day with a strict rationing that it is only available for people who have any travel history. I had none. So just to, confirm whether I was really struck or not, I asked for inflammation markers. And of course, fasting insulin and lipids. So fasting insulin turned out to be 8.7 in March 2020. A1C was 5.7, despite 2 weeks of apparent COVID strike, and lipids had crashed. I think total cholesterol came down to 100. HDL was 20 odd, and I don't remember exactly how much was LDL and all, but the most important number was the inflammation marker, which was 10 times the normal. Now that confirmed, that I had been through the storm, but finally managed to ward off. From then on, December 2020, A1C was 5.4. So that's it. That's a short story. No pill. Yes, once I had taken on your recommendation, I should take some metformin to get my numbers down to less than 5. I tried 3 pills, then I gave up. So that's the short story of 10 years.
This 10 years is just massive. I mean, we consider that you are one of the pioneers in low carb in India, and I don't know anyone who has been doing it for the last 10 years. Like in abroad, we know a few doctors, who have been into this for 20 years, like Dr. Eric Westman.
Yeah.
Sometime back, he's been doing it for 20 years. Or we have Dr. Eads, who have been doing it for 2 decades. But I think in India, you are one of the pioneers who have been doing it for 10 massive years. And do you think, how about, I should not ask you this, it's a very stupid question, but how far is it sustainable? Many people feel that it is not sustainable, I cannot sustain, because this becomes painless. It becomes a life where you give off all the grains, all the millets, root vegetables, sugar, and all the fancy processed stuff. So how was your journey in taking this, this low carb diet? So can you just let the viewers know about this journey?
Okay, before I come to that, you talked about Western low carb heroes. I think I gave myself the target of 10 years because that was in 2014 or maybe early 2015. I came across a video of Dr. Jay Wortman. That time he was on, I think, 12 years of medicine-free type 2, and he was on Atkins. So that is when, I said to myself, okay, let's see if I can hit that 10-year target. And if I do, then I'll come on video for video. So that was a commitment to myself. And now, as far as sustainability is concerned, well, I'm in front of you 10 years. It's a long time. Yes, you do slip in between, but that's okay. Everybody does. And yes, I started off with the, as I said, 120G, then moved down to, finally, I moved down to 100G, counting 5 years. So that must be around 85, round about 85 G net carbs. In between, I had tried keto, but I could not sustain for more than 14 days was max, I think, because all those keto flu, sore throat, as it is, smoker's cough is a chronic problem with me. So that adds on to this problem. But low carb, yes, very sustainable. All you have to do is, just give up, start giving up grains one by one, not cold turkey. So I started with, let's say, two chapatis a day. Then I cut down one chapati. Then, in 2015, I think I had an issue. Like if I walk for 15 minutes, my back used to lock to such an extent that I used to, sit down and bend slowly and then get back to walking again. So that was the time, I think, almost same time I was trying keto, and only benefit I got was I got off wheat completely. And surprisingly, that fixed my this back pain problem. And back pain, not the general one, but only when I walked. After 15 minutes, it seemed as if lower back is all locked. I cannot bend forward, and it used to be painful. So wheat was off in, I think, 2015. Yes, in between I do take one chapati whenever there is chicken, and that too not regular. But otherwise, although I'm a non-vegetarian, but I cannot tolerate chicken for more than 3 days continuously. So if I take for 3 days continuously, I have to give 3 to 4 days of break. Only thing regular is eggs, 3 to 4, split in 2 sessions. Then coffee addict, 10 cups a day, nuts, and then regular stuff. At the back of the mind, I have to keep, I have to be aware how much of carbs I am taking. Point number one. Point number two, what is my tolerance of carb per sitting? Now, I had done with 30 grams glucose, 50 grams glucose. I done recently, I think last year or year before last, just to check, per sitting, how much can I tolerate? So I did with 30, 30 went through fine. I did with 50G, 50G 1 hour number shot up to, I think, 153. So yes, I can cover 50 because if I start walking or start climbing stairs, I can cover, but it's no point. 30 is feasible enough to live your life as long as you want. Yes, there are cheat days. You have to attend, reception and all those parties. The solution is cover it through exercise or work.
So Anup Singh, I think yes, as you rightly mentioned, it is on individual carb tolerance. Some people can tolerate up to 100 or even 120, and some may not be too much. Like for myself, I cannot tolerate more than 30. So mine is 30. My band is 30 to 50. Anywhere between 30 to 50, I'm safe, and I'm always in ketosis. So anything above this, then there's always a risk of blood sugar rising. Now coming back to the other point, what is your how did you come across this idea of launching D-Life India platform so that you can help others? So see, in your case, this is something which you have followed while everyone in India was against low carb, and no one probably has even heard of low carb 10 years back, and you have taken advantage out of it, and you also helped others. So please let us know, about this inception of D-Life India, dlife.in.
Okay. Domain was booked in, I think, in January 2012, but I was not very sure how to go about it. In January 2013, I think, as Mr. Arun Kumar, in his podcast, he had said that most of us met on a site called Health Unlocked. Now, I had joined that site, I think, in January or February 2013, and started talking about it. And by April or May, I was banned. because they found that I'm talking something which is against their possibly commercial interest, because their sponsors are all big guns of pharma industry. But I kept resurfacing with different names. I kept talking about it, and by the time, I think it was in 2016 or 17, they reinstated my original account, which was by name of Anup. But 2014, when they banned, I think, fourth account of mine, that is when I thought, that I have to now start, because this is going nowhere. So that was the time when just the forum was launched, nothing else. And yes, after that, we kept on adding things.
So
Yeah,
Anup,
Shashi?
I recall even I was in there in the other forum, and that's
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I saw you
You were
shouting
there,
from the top of roof.
I think a total of 160 members from there jumped ship on by 23rd or 24th of August. We launched the forum of 20 on 21st of August, 2014. Within 3 days, 160 jumped ship from there. So that was the starting point. And my basic, aim was twofold. One was to take a revenge with those guys. And of course, when you're on your own, there's nobody to ban you.
So what are the other features you have in DLife? So can you just tell the viewers what are all the features you have in DLife?
Like Shashi, see, we operated free till 2017 December. Now, the whole issue was that people came, they benefited, and they vanished. Whereas I thought, those who benefit would at least spend some time guiding others. But that never happened. So, round about that time, we just gave a thought, this cannot continue forever. So, it has to be, a proper give and take. Because till then it was only give, there was no take. I mean, hardly, I think 10 or 15 of us were spending time guiding everyone. As long as they were having problems, they would post 20, 30 posts per day. The moment they get the solution, they fix their problem, they are gone forever. Many did not even post their stories, success stories, did not take part in polls. So we waited for 3.5 years. And December, I think we took a call that this cannot continue like this. So it has to be made paid. Now, making it paid as is was not the greatest of ideas. So first thing we added was data log tool, which was a custom built solution integrated to the forum. And after it was integrated, then we took it paid, and thereafter, I don't know, maybe there are 10 or 20 items which have been added. One, for example, the latest one to be added was the nutrition database, integrated recipe module, and food log system. And food log is integrated to data log. We just provided everything, hoping that people will use it. Now it is up to them whether they want to use it or don't want to use it.
Yeah, I think the best part about the forum is there are a lot of Indian recipe, because generally when we hear of low carb from the net, especially from Western world, it is mostly beef, bacon, which would not work out here. So we require more of Indian vegetarian type, which we find exactly here. Now, Anup Singh, please also tell us something about what is wrong with the Indian diet. Why is it that suddenly we are getting all these issues of diabetes? No doubt, diabetes was known for for centuries, and even the Indian Ayurveda system mentions Madhumeha. So it was well known, from earlier time. But the incidence of diabetes were not so much earlier. Why is it? Why is it increased now? What as per your view? What could be the reason?
Primarily over reliance on grains, protein deficient diet. That is one, and because maximum reliance is on grains. And 60 to 70% carbohydrate diet. I mean, there's one article I've written, if you calculate the delta What I call delta is basically a person who's sedentary after eating. A high carb diet would take around 2 years, 2 hours to be digested. 600 kilocalories, 300 kilocalorie per hour is the digestion. Three maybe 200. Whereas while sitting, we are consuming only 50 to 60, depending on body weight and all that. So essentially, we are generating 140 excess. That excess we cannot use. Now that has to be stored, and that gets stored as fat. Whatever fat we eat, that cannot be utilized at all. Now to store carbohydrate or slash glucose, you need insulin. Insulin spikes up as keep storing fat. The body starts resisting the storage of fat, and that means the insulin levels will further have to rise to try to push glucose into cells or as fat. Now it is something like an alcoholic might get a buzz in 60 ml first day, but after 1 year he would need 160 ml. So it's something like that. So diabetes starts with the type 2, starts with the insulin resistance, and nobody knows it because nobody measures insulin in lab. Now, why is it not measured? To my mind, it is because there is no drug which can control the insulin levels. The day there is a patented drug, I think that will become a mandatory test for everyone.
So, no doubt, as you say, we never measure insulin. Insulin resistance is never recognized as a disorder which can be corrected because it is linked to various other modern chronic disease. In fact, if this is just an information to the viewer, they can go to Google and then type insulin and they can type any of the chronic disease they want: diabetes, PCOS, obesity, osteoarthritis, or any of the psychiatric illnesses, Parkinson, Alzheimer. You can just type and you will see that insulin and insulin resistance is linked to a host of other modern chronic disease. And I think if we really manage to control insulin resistance, we'll be able to manage all the modern chronic disease, and that too nutritionally, rightfully. And Anup Singh, how is your view about this low carb and keto for Indian vegetarians? How easy it is? How is this easy? Low carb even for vegetarians?
Before I come to that, you talked about insulin resistance. Now, in hindsight, my loss of voice for good 36 to 48 hours, in hindsight, I think it was some sort of a vocal cord paralysis because of high blood sugar or very high blood sugar. Now, what was your question?
I mean, how easy it is for Indian vegetarians? See, most of our diets are great. People cannot just think of giving up rice and wheat. So the moment we say give up rice and wheat, they said, "Fir kya khayenge? What will have again? What will have alternatively?" So what do you think is the sustainability for vegetarians?
That is a general question. Roti choda, chawal choda, to kya khayenge? So that is why we have a gradual, transition plan that it's not a cold turkey sort of a thing where all of a sudden you stop everything and switch. You switch over 3 weeks, 1 week per meal. And by the time second or third week comes in, you already are there. Now, after that, it is all about willpower. Vegetarians.
And so, Anup Singh, now that low carb is getting popular in India, now I think everyone has heard, and I know there are a lot of people offering, a lot of websites are offering. What do you think about the general the popularity of low carb in India? What is your view?
Low carb, of course, is getting popular, and the good thing is that our effort to convince people is now less because now ADA, Canadian Diabetes Association, European, Australian, now everybody is talking low carb as an option.
Yeah.
Now they're playing safe. They're saying as an option, because they can't go against the food and drug industry per se. And here I would like to add, it ultimately it took an engineer to head American Diabetes Association to recognize low carb and keto. Tracy Brown, she's an engineer, basically, maybe management graduate later, but at core, she's an engineer. So if you look at that, then I think we are 6 years ahead of ADA minimum. Uh, and since they have approved it, now it all depends on the endos and diabetologists to start pushing it. But they won't. That is the issue. They won't until or unless a patient, well-educated patient, starts, confronting them. Like it happened with me. I used to confront the doctor. He said, "Arey nahi, theek hai, we are just following guidelines." That was the straightforward answer. We are just following guidelines. I talked about Dr. Richard Bernstein and everybody else, and he was my friend. Despite that, he said, "Arey, ye sab bakwas hai, we just follow guidelines." I said, "Okay, fine." So now at least guidelines have it, so it is easier.
I think there's a management book called First Break All Rules. So I think in nutrition also, breaking all the rules and taking health in your hand does help, of course. But of course, again, the caveat which I want to mention here is everyone. This is not a direct advice. Please take the help of a doctor or a low carb nutritionist. Again, and I'm telling because it is not proper to start anything on your own. So Anup Singh, what are the future plans of D Life? What do you think? About the future plan?
So future plans are many. The ultimate goal is we should get a VC, because then that would enable us to get into health resort specifically for diabetes, obesity, and other metabolic related disorders basically. But that is too far off, and I think we can maybe next week I'm going somewhere, and possibly by March, middle of March, there should be something big happening with respect to getting some visibility, not money, but visibility, media visibility.
Yeah. So Anup Singh, can you just share with the viewers, which are the different type of ailments which have been overcome with low carb in the forum, other than diabetes, So which are all the other cases we had? I'm sure your viewers will find this very, very interesting.
Obesity, hypertension, inflammation, then fatty liver. The extreme case of fatty liver was, I think, grade 3.5 fibrosis, and it took about four months odd to get back to, I think one parameter they call, I don't know, I don't remember the exact name, but 10.8 kPa. From 10.8 kPa, it came down to 5.6 in about 3.5 months. Now, when he had gone to the doctor had told him, "You're a bit late," which indirectly meant that finally you are headed towards, either transplant or whatever. So that was the most serious condition which recovered. Then, if I talk of myself, I don't know how my pain from groin to leg, whatever it is called, it is gone. Doctor had, said that I suffer from mastication epiphore, which means whenever I used to eat, tears used to roll down from my right eye. So the opthal said there's no solution. There's some nerve damage to your right side. So while you chew, tears will roll down. Now that is gone in my case. N is equal to 1, that case is gone. Dental problems, yes. Bleeding gums, bad breath, skin issues.
And I think we had some cases of even mental illnesses. The
Mental illness, yeah. We have one. We
psychosis,
have one. We have one.
schizophrenia.
Yeah, ultimately, the underlining point is insulin, hyperinsulinemia is mother of all diseases. Point number one. Point number two, glucose is toxic. That's it. If you can understand these 2 points, and if you care about your health, your family, obviously you'll find, whether you're a vegetarian, non-vegetarian, or whatever, you'll find low carb, high fat very easy. And those who are allergic to, calling it high fat, call it healthy fat. We have no problem.
So I think we even had a case of, though, not most of, we even had a case of age-related macular disorder, the progression getting arrested. So, that was again one of the unique cases by controlling the hyperinsulinemia and getting off all the, the seed oils. I think that is something which is implicated. High blood sugar, high glycemic, and seed oil. By getting off, in one of the cases, I think I remember, I recall reading where the patient, the progression was arrested. I think that is one unique case which we had. Plus, as you had mentioned, the case of schizophrenia also.
Yes.
The patient was able to, when the individual was able to come off many of the drugs and probably.
I think he was on 4 or 5,
Yeah.
neuro drugs, 4 or 5, and except for one, which was for schizophrenia, that dose was reduced, but then after that, everything else was eliminated. But then at that stage, after that stage, he never was regular on forum.
Yeah.
So ऐसा होता है, people get hang of it, and then yes, once you get hang of it, you just tweak it according to your body. It's not necessary that you have to come daily.
Yeah. I think we had quite a lot of success in getting people off insulin, people getting off medication, and weight loss. I think these are primarily two big success we had, and we had quite a few success with people getting off BP medications also, blood pressure medication, multiple medication. Maybe in future we'll have one interview with one more individual who successfully got off 4 blood pressure medicines. That's in future. So you wanted to say something, Anup Singh?
Yeah, the highest weight loss was I think 40 kg. 40,
Okay,
roughly 40. Yeah, he's my batchmate, Sandeep Rana, I think. 118 to 78. That was the highest loss. And yes, it takes around, took around two years. Because, we say 2 kg per month loss is the standard loss that we aim for. Don't rush through it, because if you lose 6 kg in a month, maybe 2 months down the line, it will be 6 kg back up again. Don't diet. Eat as much as you want, and yet weight will fall.
Nice, Anup Singh. It was really, I'm really honored, and it was really a privilege for me to introduce you to the world. This is for the first time you have come out in open. Otherwise, we are always hidden behind the curtains, and some of us volunteers, we were always in the forefront. But I think people never knew that you are the real energy behind us, and you are the real master behind, helping all the others. So, Anup Singh, shall we open question and answer?
Yeah, I call you Keto King. Yes, I'm LCHF superhero. Let us brag today.
So for all the viewers, audience here, I have given the option to unmute as well as put on the video. So any one of you can just ask any question. Yeah, some of the questions are in the chat box here. So how much is the role of exercise in maintaining A1C, or is it purely due to LCHF? By DY Kulkarni. Yeah, Kulkarni ji. Kulkarni ji wants to ask the role of
primarily. Yeah, the answer to that is first should be diet, right? If diet alone cannot get it down, then add exercise. If diet plus exercise cannot get it down, add medicine.
Okay. So
for me, primarily it is diet. Sorry?
How much will be the percentage of diet and exercise in that overall control? I mean, do you feel people say 80% diet, 20% exercise, 50-50? What will be the percentage?
See, it's very individual, because muscle mass will vary from person to person. So you cannot give a straight off the cuff figure like 80-20, 90-10 or 70-30. Yes, exercise is good. But if you are exercising just to control your blood sugar, then better look at diet first.
Okay.
If you have hit the keto range and still you find that yes, blood sugar is not in range, then start exercising.
Okay. Okay.
Keto plus medicine cannot get it down, then get in medicine. Keto plus exercise cannot get it down, get in medicine.
Okay.
So Kulkarni ji, what I will say is,
But
first of
yes,
all, as per the Pareto principle, 80% is diet and rest everything comes into 20. So I'll put exercise
Okay.
and I'll put even see fasting also as a very good recovery method for many. And if that is not, that everything depends upon how much insulin secretion capacity we have. Many of the type 2 diabetics, they reach a stage where the insulin secretion is very less. Then they will have to take some
Okay.
medication. So that is inevitable. It is not a magic diet. So somewhere or the other, the role of drug will come for certain people. But if you catch on very early, like me or Anup Singh, we are sure that we are not going to require any drug for lifetime, including metformin. Even I don't take metformin. Anup Singh has never taken. So everything depends
Okay.
upon which stage you are in.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
So
answering.
Mr. Kamath is asking reversing diabetes through LCHF, whole food, plant-based and vegan diet. What is your view? Anup Singh.
vegan is a joke. Vegan diet is a joke. And this is again not off the cuff remark. There's an article posted on the front end where we have compared 50 of our forum success stories with 50 of what's that guy's name? Neil Barnard. He has got 49 odd sample size. We took 50, and Bernard compares with the, I think, ADA diet or standard American diet. He started failing in 22nd week. From 22nd week onwards, the best that he could do was get A1C down by, I think, 0.6 or something. Whereas average of 50 for us is 3.11. That is point number one. Point number two, vegan diet is a diet of artificial deprivation. You stuff in fiber, and you are all taking plant-based. What is plant-based? After all, it is 60 to 80% water. Somebody I call, I've nicknamed him Fructose Baba. He says early morning you eat 1 kg cucumber. Now, why eat 1 kg cucumber when you can very well drink 960 ml or 970 ml of water? So it is a diet of artificial deprivation, sarcopenia, muscle loss, all these things you'll find. So vegan, no, we are not in favor of vegan at all. And we have got reasons. As I said, data is there on the side. Plus, it is more of a cult rather than a science. And since high carb, low fat has failed for 40 odd years, they had to do something. So they repackaged the whole nonsense and got it as vegan. That's my take.
Singh's view, Kamath, my view is always speak with numbers because we have seen in various platforms, various forums, vegans never speak numbers, and whatever they speak, it is all it is all very vague, and they always recommend a very high number. So we have a lot of success here where we believe that HbA1c has to be less than 5.6 or something. In fact, my personal HbA1c has always been ranging from 4.7 to 5.1 max, depending upon how severe or how strict I am with diet. And Anup Singh, as well as various others, have around just 5.2, 5.3 max. And the other guys, they will never reveal their numbers. So we speak with numbers. Let labs do themselves. And in fact, the study by Neil Barnard itself, as they have compared with the ADA diet, recommended ADA diet, and they have shown that both of them match. So, we don't really follow this ADA recommendation where the levels are quite high. For them, they will raise the party if a patient shows 6.5 HbA1c. For us, no. For us, it has to be less than 5.5 or so. So, things are poles apart, and we go by very strict labs. Yeah, I hope that this answers your question. How can one improve muscle mass over a period of time, reduce tummy fat? Mr. Avinash, basically by exercise. Go to a gym, lift weight, and you can start improving your muscle mass. And always avoid seed. Okay, choose your purpose oil. Okay. So anyone has any more questions? They can as well answer.
I have. I have one, Shashi Anjali here.
Yeah, Anjali, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Anup, you said that you had brought down your carbs to around 120, and now you average around 85 net carbs or 100 grams, on an average 100 grams of carbs. So, can you just give an idea on an everyday basis what comprises of these 100 grams? Meaning, what are the things you now take liberty to include in your 100 grams of carbs?
My major source of carb is from dairy because I am a coffee addict. Right, so milk goes in. I don't take coconut milk or almond milk. The normal milk is used for making coffee, and normally one meal is whatever it can be, either rice or if I want to, have gajar ka halwa, I can have that and skip everything else. So coffee, nuts, paneer, and whenever non-veg comes in, then maybe rice is replaced by one chapati. That's all.
And how about your consumption of vegetables, Anup? Do you emphasize on vegetables consumption, increasing the consumption of vegetables? Or because there are a lot of forums which, especially when they get into a ketogenic mode, they look at completely restricting vegetables. Whereas my personal view is always to up the increase or consumption of vegetables to combat all of these problems.
Yeah,
And also
I
to,
mean,
of course,
yes, she takes a lot of vegetables. See, we don't go by. That's what I said. Western diet or Western low carb. The problem is low carb, high fat, or LCHF and keto. These two terms are used interchangeably, right? We have demarcated it very clearly. Keto is a subset of low carb, but LCHF is not necessarily keto. As for vegetables, yes, remove beans initially, remove beans, remove peas, nothing that grows under the ground except for, ginger and all. That's it. You take everything greens, cauliflower, palak, methi, add paneer to it, or if you are a non-vegetarian, add chicken to it. So vegetables, no harm because vegetable carbs are minimal unless you are adding a lot of beans and carrot.
So,
Beans.
Anup Singh, let me just address again the question of Anjali. So, see what happens is, to be in truly ketogenic state, then you need to restrict carbs to maybe, there are recommendations of even less than 20 grams. And then the restriction of vegetable comes because on an average, a 100 gram of vegetable can have as much as, 8 to 10 gram of total net carbs. So what happens is, this may be useful for those who have neurological condition and where the levels of ketone are very high. But the general population, you and me, we may not need this. So, for example, I stay between 40 to 50, and my ketone levels are just 0.5 millimoles per liter. It is just in the very basic stage of ketogenic diet. And sometimes I can be off also, if I slightly increase my carb and then get back immediately within a few hours, maybe 5-6 hours. So that totally depends. And as Anup Singh said, there are various subsets. And we don't need to truly go into ketogenic state unless neurological issue, unless. So, we can as well maintain with a low carb or a keto at a very, very low, very basic stage of 0.5 millimoles. I hope this will address.
Yes. Thanks so much, Shashi and Anup. Just one last question. Anup, you kind of mentioned that you're also into dairy. So, in terms of milk, not any other dairy, but I'm talking more from a milk perspective. So, I think in a low carb, typically we stay away from milk, considering that it's also slightly higher in carbs, it's got sugar, and the other factor is inflammatory. So something that I've read in many articles and many people keep talking about the fact that milk is actually inflammatory. So have you found that since you consume so much of milk? I'm not talking about the derivatives of dairy, which is curd or cheese or paneer. I'm talking specifically only about
No, for me, things have worked out very well. Yeah, Anjali.
yes, Anup.
I said, for me, things have worked out very well. And tracking HSCRP, I think last was done in September 2013, barring the current one, which was done after COVID. My HSCRP has always been lower than the limit of the lab, upper limit of the lab. So that was fine. I don't know, people say, I mean, especially vegans say, that growth factor and all those growth hormones. Ultimately, it all depends on how much carb have you taken. Is per meal, carb within your tolerable limit? For example, you must be aware of the recent case of Vivek.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So he came in with, I think sugar was last measured that he showed me was 254, but he said his tail was on fire. It was 390, touching 400. Now, such desperate situations will need desperate attention. There we don't have luxury of, trying out for 3 weeks. So you are aware how we changed his diet. It is there on the forum.
Yeah.
First and then I've told him, that you can add milk in coffee, no problem. Because having
Okay.
black coffee even for 10 years is, for me, it is impossible.
Okay.
That is why you see, this is my cold coffee.
Okay. So I think that was the only question I had, because the inflammatory part was something it's been there in my mind for a while.
Lactose
I've been reading
intolerant,
about
yes,
it.
but otherwise general population, it works well.
Okay.
See, inflammation and all is, it is, I think, restricted to very small subset. I think most of us, especially in Asia, India, we can tolerate milk exceptionally well. We do keep hearing about this intolerance, especially from abroad, where they don't seem to, have much of the enzymes to tolerate milk. But we Indians, we have amazing tolerability to this. So I don't think we should be really worried about this.
Okay.
So Ashish has a question. When you say high fat, what is the proportion of fat versus protein you stick to? What is the role of added fat? What is the role of supplements, which will help fulfill deficiency, which is in the limited diet? So Ashish feels, first of all, wants to know how much fat to protein you have to take, and what are the role of supplements. And he feels that there must be some deficiency in our diet. So what vitamins to take?
Since day one, when we started talking about LCHF, the ratios that we fixed was 20%, 20%, 60%. 20% carb, 20% protein, 60% fat. Now, as we gained experience, then finally we said protein is the target, carb is the limit, and fat is the lever. So for protein, carbs you have to restrict depending on your per meal carb tolerance and per day limit that you set. And whatever energy shortfall is there, you make up with fat. Added fat, no problem. You add fat everywhere. In cooking, you can add fat. People are adding fat in coffee, though I don't do. And now next is, what is the role of supplements, minerals, vitamins? Yes, MG is very important. It controls, I think, more than 300 processes, and we barely get it from diet because of soil depletion. Vitamin C. I'm a fan of vitamin C, 2G to 3G per day. ACV, I haven't tried. Ashwagandha, I can bet my bottom dollar on it. That's it. These MG, vitamin C, ACV, I have not tried. Ashwagandha and Triphala. These are the two herbal stuff that I can bet my bottom dollar. Rest all are, as per me, useless, including also Karela powder, Karela juice, Loki juice, and aloe vera juice. They're all useless. Ashwagandha, yes. Triphala, yes.
So, to address
Nilesh
this question
Mistry.
from my side, Ashish, first
Yeah.
of all diets are limited. Even, the normal diet, which they say, it is actually limited. What they say is, what it is junk trash, which is devoid of anything. On the contrary, because we are normalizing of food to a good extent, our intake of protein becomes corrected, because otherwise Indians are abysmally poor when it comes to protein intake of just 30 grams per day, which we are raising up. And along with protein will come a lot of minerals and vitamins. It is on the contrary, let me say that our diet would be very, very close to the optimal diet compared to the general population. If so, then the general population would not be deficient in vitamin D3 and B12. And it is such a pathetic state in India that most of the population are just deficient of this, in spite of eating whatever they want. Now, when it comes to certain things like magnesium, yes, see, magnesium is, I mean, the current soil is devoid of magnesium, and so whether you are carnivore or whether you are, I think which magnesium is something which has to be added, but rest of them it is all personal choice. So it is up to how you want to add. So next one more question from Nilesh: is low carb and keto different? If so, how different it is? Yeah, Nilesh. So see, when we say low carb, it can be carbohydrate from 100 up to 100 gram, whereas from keto it is restricted to 30. So it is even more restrictive. So that is how it is. Mr. Kamath is asking, is black coffee harmful? I am also coffee addict. Anup Singh.
Answer is no. 4 to 6 cups you can have it without any problem. Until or unless so there are some medical conditions like Shashi can guide you whether if it is a hypertension case, I think coffee should be restricted.
Absolutely. See, there is coffee is absolutely benign and safe, and everyone can have it, except anyone who has some allergy issue, or if it disturbs the sleep, that the population would be very less. So otherwise, it is perfectly okay.
See, can I add one thing?
There's one more.
Yeah.
There's one more thing to add. Never take coffee with your meals.
Actually, coffee contains caffeine, and as per the tolerable limit for the human being is 420 milligram caffeine. So up to 420 milligram of caffeine, there is no untoward effect like sleep disorder and like this. So up to 420 milligram of caffeine, if you are taking through coffee, there is no problem. That's the point to be noted.
Thank you, Arun Kumar. There's one question from Mr. Kajapati. I have lost 14 kilos on LCH of over 6 months, but last 4 months I am installed. Why is it?
How much do you have to lose?
How much do you have to lose? Mr. Kajapati, you can just unmute and ask.
Yeah, at least another 10 kilos would be good. I used to be 100
First thing is,
kilos. I used to be 107 kilos. Now I'm about 94, but stop there. Not going down anything lower.
things to add, if not doing it, is fasting. Point number 1. Point number 2, if you are doing fasting and still it is stalled, cut down intake.
I do fasting, intermittent fasting, 16 hours, 18 hours, sometimes 1 meal a day. I do that as well.
Yeah. So there are 2 ways. Either you cut down your intake or you start exercising heavily. And exercising does not mean you have to, pump iron. You start going for long walks. That is very, very, effective, especially getting the tummy down. I think Arun Kumar can add to that because he's a champion who walks a lot.
Yeah,
Yes,
actually,
sir.
I can say only thing, if fasting, if exercise and diet is not losing your weight, so in that case you can add fasting. So fasting should be started with the extended fasting of nearly 48 hours and then continue as a 16:8 intermittent fasting. The best way, what I am doing, I am skipping my breakfast. Since last 6 years, I am skipping my breakfast. So dinner to lunch, in between the 16 hours gap is there. So I take dinner at 8 o'clock and then next morning lunch at 12 o'clock. Then after from 12 o'clock or 8 o'clock, I am taking something. But that did not mean that you go and just putting everything in your stomach. So take care of that. And of course, I can say the exercise is also important. What exercise you are doing, how much you are doing, that is also important. So yes, for me, it is 8 kilometers per day walking is sufficient. And that is followed by the intermittent fasting. So you can also follow that.
Okay, will do. Will
So,
do.
so let me add something. I suggest that you measure your waist size once a week. Maybe every Sunday morning you just measure and just see if there's a difference. What happens is very many of the time, if our food intake is correct, if our protein intake is correct, we may be losing fat, but we may be gaining lean body mass. So what is
Okay.
whether you are losing that waist size. If you're losing waist size and not losing weight, then let me tell you, you are a winner because you're building lean body mass and losing fat.
Okay. Okay. We'll do that. We'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Kulkarni is asking, when you say vegetables are okay, does that mean regular cooked vegetable in kitchen with spices are okay?
Answer is yes.
Yeah, Kulkarni ji, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Many times when we say vegetables are okay, normally in our Indian kitchens, the vegetables are cooked with vegetable oil and a lot of spices and everything. So if we are eliminating chapati or rice, so is that okay to have that kind of vegetables which are cooked with spices and oil?
I think Rajnath Kamath had asked about oils in cooking.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, to answer his and your question, for cooking, we prefer only three cooking medium. One is VCO, virgin coconut oil. Second is ghee, and third is butter. Fourth, no possibility of adding anything else. If vegetables are cooked in these three, either of the three, go ahead, no problem.
And I think, let me give an
One
option.
small question along with that.
Let me
One small question
that
along with that.
if you cannot take up this, then at least take up cold pressed groundnut oil to a small extent. We don't recommend this, but if the family is not willing to use this, then go for cold pressed groundnut oil or mustard oil, not more than this, in small quantity.
Shashi, one more question along with that. When we say the virgin coconut oil is okay, the ground coconut oil is okay? Physically ground coconut
Yeah,
oil.
cold pressed is fine.
Cold pressed.
Cold pressed
Yeah,
is
yeah.
fine. Oil should not be RBD variety, which is refined, bleached, and deodorized. That oil should not be.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So Chetan is asking, I see a lot of books in the background. What books do you recommend for health and nutrition? Anup Singh, काफी books है पीछे आपके.
Yeah. Any books for a diabetic?
He is asking for health and nutrition. Which books he should read?
Health and nutrition on which diet? Low carb diet?
No, generally, he is
Because
telling nutrition generally.
Generally, sir, I have no idea because I am only focused on low carb. And as a diabetic, if it is that, then type 1 should always buy Dr. Richard Bernstein's book, Type 2, Jenny Rule. Right? Dr. Richard Bernstein for type 1, Jenny Rule for type 2. She is not a doctor, but she's considered to be godmother for type 2 diabetics world over. And as far as nutrition is concerned, there's nothing wrong with what we eat, except for the fact that we're eating too much grains.
And for type 2?
Yeah, and for Indians, we have we have a LCHF book written by a couple of people from down south. We have Sindhu Vijay and Vijay Vishwanathan. They have so they can always go to Amazon and find LCHF from Sindhu Vijay. They can get it. It's very cheap. So it's something for Indians to follow. So Papa Rao is telling, I am doing LCHF for 6 days a week and doing deviating to carb diet one day. Is it any negative consequence that I know of? This is not good, but thought of knowing scientific reason. So he's following LCHF for 6 days and one cheat day. So Anup Singh, your view.
Yeah, if it is 1 day cheat meal or full day cheat.
Papa Rao.
Yeah, yes.
Full day.
Sometimes, most likely, yeah, I'm very good at doing it 6 days and deviating 1 day in the afternoon, or else it's full day sometimes.
Okay. Now see, even I cheat either by choice or it is forced upon me due to social reasons. Now, whenever that is done, whenever I know, due to the cheat day, I make sure I skip 2 meals. Right? And eat as much as I can, and then I start exercising, I think within 30 to 40 minutes of eating. So if you can follow that, it is very good. Otherwise, once in a week eating. Are you diabetic? If yes,
Yes.
then answer is no. If no. Sorry?
Yes, Anup, I understand actually, but overall, I am in LCHF for last 3 years. So sometimes on and
Yeah.
sometimes off. Overall, I feel like when I was going off, I feel really it's a very lack of energy and many other things, lack of constant hunger or something. It's really giving me very good answer, but yeah, maybe family or or else I am not so what do you call really dedicated. One day just I am going out of, I can say that is my fault as well, even though I know complete massive benefits of LCHF. Sometimes I'm a bit taste conscious, or else not bit lazy to do. Those days I'm going for carb, which is readily available wherever in the store. I'm living in Sweden, and last 1 year I was alone, and sometimes meeting with friends, and when I'm going doing social, I can't limit my carbohydrate intake. But when I am alone in the home or something, I usually do good keto. I had seen a lot of benefits. I have reduced around 10 kgs of my weight. I usually been in touch with Shashikant also.
So Papa Rao, my answer is that
Oh.
depends upon what is your preference. Your preference is taste or health. If you really
100% health.
but if you want to keep cheating, see, if you cheat for one day, it takes you back by 3-4 days.
Yes.
So you can just imagine if you're uncontrolled and if you keep cheating, then it's not going to really help.
Yes, Shashi. Sure, I need to change on that part. Of course, there is no specific answer from experts that I need to take over the control of myself. Thank you so much.
Just if
No,
I
no,
can
see,
add
if you are-
one more
if you are-
point, if I could, sorry, just wanted to add one point here to Mr. Paparao. See, cheating, maybe if you're doing just one meal, it's okay once in a way. You don't have to have it as a calendar saying ki one Sunday every week I will cheat, because it's more from a mindset perspective. That is number one. Number two, also from a dietary standpoint, if you look at it, high carb and high fat is a very dangerous combination. Basically, it means when you switch on to high carbs, your body, the minute your carbs go beyond a particular level, your body automatically goes into glucose burning mode. It starts storing everything else as fat. So you won't realize it immediately, but then over a period of time, it ends up in I like we said, bahut locha ho jata hai. So it's like a khichdi kind. So it's best to either choose low carb or or go into high carb. So you'll have to look at that their balance, because doing a high fat and a high carb combination is very, very risky. And I think most of our dietary problems come from there, because our regular diet is full high carb. Plus, we also add a lot of fat in terms of frying, adding a lot of ghee, adding a lot of other aspects, eating processed and junk food, which has got a huge amount of fat. So, both these together will create a lot of problems. So accordingly, you'll have to judge, you'll have to take a call how this is impacting your health. Maybe don't do an every week mandatory cheat, because when you say cheat, then you will say that, yeah, you're not following a regular routine. So something like that. So you'll have to figure out what works for you and try to minimize it as much as possible.
Yeah, sure, Anjali. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if I may add, if you are following keto diet, the answer is you cannot cheat. As Shashi said, it takes you back 4 to 5 days. If you are doing low carb, then on cheat day, for every cheat meal, climb 20 floors. Simple solution.
Yes, sure, Anup. Thank
So
you.
there's a question by Mala here. What can I do if there is a high HbA1c of 8 in spite of strict LCHF? Start insulin, fasting insulin is 6.2.
No. At fasting insulin 6.2, you cannot have, A1C of 8 if you are following LCHF. To quote a recent case, Mr. Vivek, I think he'll be there on 28th sharing his experience on 1 month of low carb. He had 7.9 or something. He's down to 6.3. And the rate at which it is going, I think by end of third month, he should hit around 5.7 to 5.9. So at 6.2, fasting insulin, answer for exogenous insulin is a big no. And problem comes when people think they are following low carb. Now, to what extent it is low carb, whether it is keto or the usual low carb that I follow. If it is what I follow, then you will have to start tweaking, getting your carb down in steps of 10 grams per day till you hit the keto range. Because it is very difficult, perception ऐसा है कि हम low carb कर रहे हैं. कोई बोलेगा कि I am doing low carb, but I am taking 1 chapati. Now 1 chapati is fine if you can just keep it to that. But problem is when you start adding each and every bit, it may reach up to 120, 130, 140, and especially per meal carb tolerance is exceeded, because of which your excursion of ppbs is pretty heavy.
So, Mr. Kamath, just a minute, Malaram, see, I think you should get in touch with a good low carb nutritionist and see that it's really a good low carb diet which you're following. Is it really LCHF or keto? That is something which you need to ensure. And 6.2 fasting insulin is perfectly fine, but there appears to be a good insulin resistant component. So you need to do this. And there is a question that whether millets and grains are right. So Anup Singh, what is the difference between millets and grains? I think we had recent case in D-Life. Anup Singh will talk. I'll just show my mobile, Anup Singh. This is
Kamath,
can you see this? 252. I think it is coming in mirror image. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's the Bajra one.
I can see it. I can see
98 is the low carb one.
Sorry?
Can you see this image which I'm showing?
Yes.
252. Anup Singh, how much is it? Is it 250? 253 is the Bajra one.
I think it was 252 or 254.
Is the one on low carb.
Okay.
So Anup Singh will explain this recent case.
Yeah, he's my friend, he's my batchmate, and as usual, people keep asking that can I take oats, can I take millets? And once you fail to convince, the best way to convince is say yes, and then tell them to measure ppbs. So that's what he did the next day. And after seeing 254, he said, you are right. Now what to do? Bajra, millet, basically family of millet, that was gone. And next day his blood sugar landed 89. See, essentially, thumb rule is any grains is going to have 60 to 80% carbs. Whether you call it millet, whether you call it kodri rice, or whatever you call it, it has to be 60% roundabout carbohydrate. So now, if bajra roti cannot weigh less than 100 grams, definitely not. That means in one sitting, you are taking around 50 to 60 gram carbs coming from just one chapati. You add everything else, it may shoot up to 80 to 90. So millet and grains are both high carb and to be avoided to same extent.
So as per my view, and even Anjali has mentioned, millet may be a shade better compared to grains, and it is okay for your family members to shift from the modified, the hybridized, genetically modified wheat to millet. It could be okay for them. But once someone is diabetic, someone is insulin resistant, so more or less both are same. There's not going to be any difference. And this is a clear-cut case which we have seen in our forum itself, that the blood sugar exceeds 250 and then with low carb diet, it just comes to less than 90. So we have seen a lot of such cases. It happens.
I think, Sasi, I'm adding
Yeah.
that millet I have found. Once I was moving in the Mysore in Karnataka, I saw a board of a Ayurvedic clinic. Outside the Ayurvedic clinic, it is written either you eat millet or have diabetes. Means what they are telling, it's all the misconception is created by some people. I don't know why, but millet is, if I am correctly remembering, it's almost 76 grams of carb per 100 gram of the millet. So why to take millet? Only thing that some fiber portion is higher. That's why it is slightly different from the regular grain. So that may be the delay in digestion. But after all, carb is carb.
Just a thought, actually. For all,
Yeah.
see, all the South Indians who normally are very, glued to having rice, idlis, and all that sort of stuff, right? And to make matters even worse, they also have dahi rice and all that sort of stuff. I mean, a typical South Indian diet, I would say, right? Among all my friends in Bangalore, this is what one observes. And in sugar levels, then what is it that they need to convert themselves? Because for example, what my friends have done also is converted from rice idlis to ragi idli and things like that, and things like that. So then how would a normal day-to-day diet be like to follow the LCHF?
Egg eaters can make a very nice idli out of almond flour and egg.
And
Okay.
Even paneer.
Right? Yeah, and even paneer. So essentially, as I said, ultimately macros
Yeah.
to 20-20-60.
Okay.
Some very specific LCHF recipes. Most of them have been tweaked. The regular
Okay.
recipes tweaked down to get it to low carb or in extreme case keto range.
Okay.
You don't have to, just have to find certain substitutes. Like as I said, idli for a egg eater can be made out of almond flour and eggs.
Okay.
I think even keto dosas are there, same recipe.
Okay.
So basically, South is what? Idli, dosa, and yes, plain rice, of course, you cannot take as a diabetic. But recipes made out of rice, it can be managed.
Yeah, because even in rice, you have those multiple varieties of rice, right? You have the white rice, you have the brown, red, black, and
between brown and white, I don't think there's a difference of more than 3 to 5%. It's not going to make much of a difference.
Right.
So brown, okay, maybe because of additional, whatever 2-3% extra fiber or whatever is coming, but not more than 5% would be the difference.
Right. See, because the problem is I followed the whole food plant-based diet actually, which is vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian. Okay. And to be very honest, I lost about 14 kilos in a span of 8 to 9 months. And of course, I was doing, like you mentioned, exercises also is good. Yes, I did not hit the gym with the iron. I was doing yoga and walking. Right. Subsequently, people felt that I've lost weight. I but at the same time, people had two things to say. One is, it says, Raj, you lost a lot of muscle mass. Number one. Number two, you looked younger than your age before you hit your diet, and now you look older than your age. So how does one sort of reconcile to these facts? And mind you, I just started having my friend recommended LCHF diet, and I've started doing that. But I'm a little scared to see my H1ABC because at that point in time, it had reduced. And the last time I did, it had increased. So I don't know where I'm going wrong. Is it my diet or whatever?
Okay. Rajnath, if you remember, I said vegan diet is a diet of artificial deprivation.
Okay.
Scientifically, it is an artificially depriving diet. It is artificially depriving because they push up fiber to nonsensical levels. We don't need that much.
Okay.
And they focus on plants. Plants essentially means whatever you're eating is 60 to 80% water.
Oh, sorry,
And
one correction. What I meant was
yeah,
whole food plant-based. Let me recorrect that.
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. You know, because whole food plant-based, normally they tend to go up to, you know, take only 10% protein, 10% fat, and 80% whatever whole food carbs are coming from.
Right.
So if your diet is lacking protein, obviously body will eat itself.
Oh,
So
okay.
as the saying is that vegans don't eat meat, they eat their own body. Right?
Right.
Sarcopenia. If you look at Dr. Gregor, whatever his name is, I mean, he can hardly do a bicep curl with a fork. I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, look at his arms. He's a doctor.
Right.
He's practicing clinically, and yet look at his body. So
Right.
sunken cheeks, you know, bone thin arms. They're all typical signs of a typical vegan who is more of a fanatic than a doctor, than a, you know, somebody talking science.
Right. Got it.
If you see
Protein
Gregor and
for muscle
McDougall,
loss.
Gregor and McDougall, they had multiple fractures when they fell down.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is well
ridiculous.
documented.
Looking at them is, you know, it's painful looking at them.
And why
Right.
they had multiple fracture? Because your bones are also 40% protein. Do we know that bone is not exclusively calcium? It's also 40% collagen protein. So if someone is osteoporotic, we feed them calcium, we feed them vitamin D, we forget about protein. Are 40% is protein. Do we really focus on that?
Right, right.
They get their protein from beans, they get their protein from peas, and unfortunately, all protein plant-based will always come associated with higher carbohydrates.
And low
So
absorption.
that is why a vegan or whole food plant-based, they will never tell you how much the numbers come down. They would say, yes, I have improved. Now, there's one guy, I would not take his name. He says top medicine at PPBS of 250. He's an Indian. He has done some PhD from Somalia or somewhere.
Vietnam.
Now, yes, oh, Vietnam nahi, wo to Somalia says he has awarded himself a PhD. From WRU UK also he has awarded himself. And there's one more American doctor, McDougall. John McDougall or somebody.
John
He says
McDougall.
150 to 300. Sorry?
Fasting. John McDougall.
Yeah. Fasting 150 to 300 is okay. Now, if 150 to 300 is okay, then I think all pharmaceutical industry dealing in diabetes drugs should shut their shop.
That's true.
This is still documented in
how,
the
you know,
website. This is documented in the
this is
website.
how
People can go and see.
this is how they fool. They will never tell you absolute number. They will say, oh, I have taken this, I have switched to plant-based and my numbers have improved. The moment you ask them how much, they won't tell you. Like we give you numbers, you know, 50 average drop is 3.11. Barnard's 50 drop is 0.6. And that too, he started failing after 22nd week.
So
Yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, it did. So obviously now I'm on a mid path actually, because I was very confused with the whole food and LCHF, and I sort of mix and match. And now after listening to you, I will take the next step forward to ensure that I'll visit your website. To be very honest, like, this is the first time that I am attending your session actually, and I'm going to sort of really devour your website and check it out as to what are the ways and means that I can get my A1C right, and also put on a little bit of more muscles that I lost in the process.
Yeah, sure. Welcome anytime.
Party has a question. LCHF 20-20-40 ratio for CPF, if I'm not mistaken. So he's just asking, confirming 20-20-40.
No, 20-20-40 and 280. Where is the balance 20 coming from? That is why we say 20-20-60 based on calorie. If you want a gram calculation, then 1:1:1, I think 1.33 ऐसा कुछ आएगा. 1 gram carb, 1 gram protein, and 1.3 grams or 1.4 grams fat. 20-20-40 is hypocaloric diet. If you're obese, yes, it may work, it will work. But you cannot keep on, living your entire life on a hypocaloric diet. So that will be equivalent to a vegan diet, which is a diet of artificial deprivation.
No, this is 20-20-60 actually. What do you mean? Not 20-20-40.
Yeah, 20-20-60.
So there the carbohydrate can vary. It can be as much as 5 to 10% also. So depending upon which subset you want to follow.
Yeah, we would like to underline again, LCHF, whether it is LCHF or keto. Protein is your target, carbohydrate is your limit, and
Restriction.
fat is your lever.
Sorry,
You
fat is your?
manipulate your calories. Sorry?
Yeah, you said fat, protein, fat is your some word you used.
Lever. I mean, you manipulate fat intake depending on what calories is falling short.
Okay.
So limit, target is protein. That should not be low.
Okay.
Limit is carbohydrate depending on your per meal, per day carb tolerance. Balance is fat.
Right. But for a vegetarian, what would you suggest to build up on proteins, or does one take supplements to build up proteins?
Yeah, dairy, nuts, and if whatever shortfall is there, then come up with the whey protein.
Okay.
Shashi can tell you more about this.
Yeah, sure.
So
yeah, Shashi.
That is all the questions there in the chat box. So
there was one question, from Nilang.
From?
First question. Nilang, he had sent over email, I think.
Yeah. I think he's not here today.
Yeah. So, as far as grains are concerned, the answer remains same. If it is ketogenic end of the LCHF spectrum, then grains are off. If it is the much relaxed low carb version, you can include grains, but prefer not to include wheat. Instead of wheat, rice is fine.
So is there any precaution for taking COVID vaccine? I think that is out of scope for the discussion here. So Malaram has asked any precaution for taking COVID vaccine, please. So I think this is not the scope of discussion. Sorry, we will not be able to discuss anything on vaccine. That is out of the purview. This is more of LCHF diet. So LCHF in no way impairs COVID vaccine. You can go ahead and take. There is no issue.
Have I answered your question?
Talking on the whey proteins and everything else, the supplements which are there, it also has some amount of sugar in that, right? So is that okay to sort of, won't it affect the sugar levels in the body?
See, whey isolate, you have to go for unsweetened whey isolate. So just
okay.
Unsweetened. So there is no issue. Whey isolate is absolutely no issue.
Okay. All right. Maybe if you have any brands that you suggest, you can possibly put it on the notes. I mean, you can put it on.
See, we particularly don't recommend any brand. I think most of the unsweetened brand which is there in Amazon, you can just go ahead. That is absolutely true.
All right. So unsweetened whey isolate.
Whey isolate. We recommend whey isolate.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
So Anup Singh, that's about it, I think. So can we wind up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Anup Singh, thank you. And first of all, thank you very much for appearing in this podcast and revealing yourself to the world. And you are a human in India who is now, 10 years without medicine for diabetes. It's really unique. And not only have you healed yourself, but you're also helping all others. And you have kept yourself in remission for last 10 years, and you're also helping others through D-Life and various other platforms. So we thank you very much. And I want to personally thank all the participants here who could come and attend here this program and make it very successful and get the doubts cleared. So thank you very much, Anup Singh.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, Lavan, last question. Sorry, Anup. This is a question addressed to you. You are off the medicine for the last 10 years, right? Unfortunately, I'm 62 right now, and I'm taking medication on diabetes for the last from 32 onwards, and I'm on insulin. Do you think one can possibly leave off insulin or reduce the insulin, or once a diabetic, always a diabetic? Is that adage which happens? So, what is your perspective on that?
See, we have cases of people going off insulin as high as 75 units per day.
Whoa, okay.
Right? Now, technically 75 unit means roughly 1:10, 750, roughly 750 spike is being covered if you're not overly insulin resistant. 750 spike means the person was eating at least 180 grams carbohydrate per day.
Okay.
Okay. Now, since not all the endoinsulin is gone, reducing to 30 grams per day max, he's off 75 units insulin. Shashi knows him. He's a cousin. 75 units insulin.
See, Vijay
Vildagliptin
came of 80 units. And we have cases of my own aunt, as well as one more cases where at the age of 70 they knocked off insulin and tablets. So they adopted at the age of 70.
There are cases where you can reduce your insulin intake,
right,
compared to plant-based. Diet, surely you can reduce, because plant-based diet is all 60%, 70%, 80% carbs.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
So if you're coming down to 20% carb to 20%, we can back calculate how much insulin consumption can be expected to be down.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Anup Singh. Thank you very much.